you only listen to the end of that sentence. So I'm not going to re-explain myself because we are live at the BVSA Sports Show. And I know that I'm usually behind camera, but just quick story before these guys get into the real serious stuff. I've really tried hard for a long time to avoid fantasy football. I've been in sports my entire life. I've grown up in batting cages, and now we're here in this big space. It's kind of cool. We're trying to not get sucked into the whole thing, and this guy set up a fantasy football league for BVSA, which is my home away from home. I've been here for 16 years, so when I heard that the entire league was guys from our staff, I'm like, okay, I guess this is the year I'm going to capitulate. And when my Tampa guys see this, they're all going to be a little upset that they haven't known that I've been playing fantasy football all year because I've been ignoring all their football texts.
That's good.
Yep.
Wow.
So that's going to come out. So sorry, guys.
Deceivers.
So because of that, I've been watching a little more football this year than I ever have in my entire life. Get sucked in, and I've been a Giant fan my entire life, and just watching the Giants on Thanksgiving, it was really happy to sit there and watch it. They've been, doing their thing this year, but to watch that fourth quarter and to watch them be down 2 possessions and just kind of walk around and just have zero sense of urgency to a person who I have no right to even be on the show talking about football right now, guys. I get it. But as a layman, to watch that was, I don't want to say infuriating because I don't want to give it that much, but wow. I just didn't get it. And I know you said they're not throwing the ball really well right now. I get it, even though I thought a little bit higher of Daniel Jones than I guess he's doing. But it just didn't make sense to continue run after run after run. Really no disguise at all. Just no sense of urgency, no rushing to the line, no even thought. It blew my mind. So, with that being said, I am going back behind the camera where I belong. And that's that. You guys can go after your show.
I just had a thought.
Uh-oh.
We talked last week about the BVSA Fantasy Football League you brought up. The calendar, big loss this week. It looks like they're heading in that direction. Have you started to think about the calendar, setup, poses, anything yet?
Yes, I absolutely have. It's going to be very creative for sure.
Joe, you introduced the whole.
I did last week.
Did you?
Yeah. Right?
There you go.
Was
Talk
it
about the whole thing. Yeah, last
So
place.
just recap right now. Zach Rampin and I are fighting for last place. Not to be in last place. The last place person gets on a camera and takes some pictures for a calendar, a photo shoot for a calendar. So, yeah, Joe, I've been thinking about it a lot. Hence me actually watching the last couple of weeks. I've been playing at the bottom and making some changes to my lineup and figuring out how to pick some guys up. And it's funny enough that you bring that up because I ended up picking up new tight end's name to the Raiders. 5. I can't pronounce
Foster
it.
Moreau.
Nope.
Fabian Moreau?
Moreau. Yes,
Foster
Moreau. And picked him up the week before. Got no points. I don't think he touched the ball. Then this week in the Raiders, at the end of the Raider game.
Not true. He had a huge catch over the middle for 30 yards.
There's a whole lot
Touchdown.
That's our background Raiders fan coming in.
Yep, it amounted to about 2 points on fantasy, so sorry, it wasn't 0 points, 2 points. Big catch for the Raider game. But then this week, that was this week. Sorry.
Nope.
Yeah,
Here
this
he
week,
goes.
here it goes again. This week, I'm sitting there waiting. I have Moreau on my team, waiting for him to score.
Scored a touchdown on the back end of the end zone on a beautiful pass by
It
Carr.
was nice.
Kept his feet in
I'm
bounds,
assuming
knocked
he
the
was on the
cameraman
bench.
over.
Yep. Yes, he did. It was funny because 2 minutes before, I dishes, babies in the background. Sue's walking. I'm like, Suze, do you see this? Fantasy scores up. I'm like, I just need a play. I need a play or two. I need this tight end to catch it, and boom! Not even 2 seconds later, he scores that. So, a roundabout way to answer your question, yes, I've thought about the calendar. I'm hoping something crazy happens and ends up being Zach. I'd love that. That'd be fantastic. But it's looking like with Zach beating me twice this year.
Yep, you got to win 2. He needs to lose 2. That's the only way you avoid it.
Yes. Yeah, I need to win out and he needs to lose out. So I think the chances of that happening with my team are tough. The chances of that happening with his team are up there. We haven't really played great. I think he's trying to make some trades yesterday that I don't know. I think all of his trades
Everything got vetoed.
Everything got vetoed yesterday. So yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be me. I'm apologizing to my son now, but maybe I'll sell it online and it'll go nuts.
Just your son?
Okay.
You don't want to apologize to Riley too?
Yeah, I feel like she's going to be a lot more understanding. I feel like he's going to be the one that deals with it. But yeah, that's so hopefully that we'll see what happens. Zach, if you can do whatever you can do to throw it for me, I'd really appreciate that. Yeah. But that's it. So with that, I'm out. I got to take care of some stuff. You guys take it away, and I'll come back to the end of the show.
Thank you, sir.
Good job. Good work. All right. Before we get into picks, some upsets for this week. I know Virg has some thoughts on
we're
the
jumping right
Sean
into this.
Taylor Memorial that
It was
the
a
Washington
disgrace.
Redskins / football team / Commanders put up at FedEx Field on Sunday. Please.
Absolute disgrace.
It's a poor effort on their third try to memorialize him, to remember him. You could argue probably top easily 3 in their history, top 1 potentially. A lot of people's favorite player. We all grew up with him. Big time at Miami, big hits. Literally, my favorite video of him is him laying someone out in the Pro Bowl when
Punter.
it's not supposed to matter, and he just goes and lays him out.
Full speed all time.
So, to honor him, you get a mannequin from JCPenney, right? Right down the street from the field. A wire mannequin. You put the wrong jersey on him. You put a different sports brand on every piece of his body to represent him. And just so you know, because I know we talked about this off camera, they did use the word statue for memorial. That was not a statue. They used the word statue. I know his family ended up being overall happy, and the daughter got to be very involved in the design of it. But let's be real. That was sad, a pathetic attempt by an owner that just no longer cares and needs to sell. I think we can all agree it needs to sell,
That I agree.
but that's a disgrace for what he
You
represented.
want my thoughts before you
Yeah,
go?
I'm
'Cause
gonna.
I know
I'm
you're.
gonna-
I know you're.
I'm gonna go right back. But go ahead.
So, I probably agree with you. I mean, I wouldn't say a disgrace because
Yeah,
I guess
you
they're
did
almost
honor him,
obliged. I mean, they have to do something. I guess is kind of
but
the
this
thing.
is now a third failed attempt.
Yeah, that's true. I do agree with that. So I do think that obviously just like a statue makes the most sense. I feel like that's like the best way to have something for a player of that caliber. For
Pull
your
the
franchise.
picture of the Pat Tillman statue that Arizona has. That's what it should look
That's
like.
a good one, yeah. So I do think the statue would have made much more sense. I definitely think it was pretty lazy. But again, as Virg said, with the owner and like he's dealt with all this weird stuff going on, like he just needs to get out of there. I think that's just the biggest thing we learned from that. I do think that the memorial can be good in the sense that people at least have somewhere to go now to like think about Sean Taylor and like memorize him and all that, blah blah blah. Of course, but
I don't know. I definitely think it could have been better, for sure. Joe probably has way more words on this, I'm sure.
I
That's
agree
his-
with everything you just said, right? The owner needs to go. He did a half-ass job. That's who he is. He gets away with doing whatever he wants. He's not going to spend any more money than he has to. I get that. I think he had Nike jersey on with Adidas pants and World Cup cleats on. He
So,
didn't even have
yeah,
the tape on the face
Adidas
mask.
World Cup cleats, Reebok pants,
sorry.
Soccer socks, and Nike jersey.
It looks like it was just totally thrown together. I get it. It wasn't even a JCPenney mannequin because those are what? Plastic? This was wire.
Yeah, it was
This was wire. I get it. It was thrown together, but I have 2 points to make. Number one, the family loved it. Whether it was fake or genuine, I watched the video. If it was his daughter or whoever it was, they loved it. I believed it. That's the only people that matter. We don't matter
No, you're
in
right.
terms of who likes it or doesn't like it. And two, I think a bigger disgrace, to use your word, not to bring this man into it, but last year when they made a nice big 21 on the field and they guarded it with rope, Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs come to town and his brother Jackson Mahomes, who needs to make his name everywhere he goes over the rope and does a TikTok dance on 21. That is a far bigger disgrace to Sean Taylor, and that was a nice little tribute that they made. So they didn't ruin it 3 years in a row. If anything, Jackson Mahomes ruined it last year. This was just, hey,
great. They
I'm
painted
selling.
something on.
The stadium's probably going down, so maybe it's easier to move. I don't know. But the bottom line, biggest point I want to make is that the family loved it. So who am I? Who are you?
No, you're
who
not
are
wrong.
any of us to say?
Can't
that
really
this
disagree
needed
with
to be
that.
better? Should have been better. Yes. Do other teams do it better across all sports? The statues are like so common and so easy. I get it. It was thrown together. They probably forgot about it. They was like, hey, tomorrow's Sean Taylor's hours.
Threw it on there.
Let's do something. I get it. But the family liked it. They put on a show great. But that's
I'm in complete agreement with you that the family matters most, but I think a lot of people
like really related to whatever Sean Taylor brought to their lives, and like the opinions of the fans and opinions of the people around the team at that time now do matter. Just as long as the family's happy, at the end of the day, we're all just
Most
talking
important.
heads
Yeah.
that want to have our opinions and want to have something to be said. It's their dad, husband that was unfortunately killed, and like they're honoring him in whatever way. As long as they're happy at the end of the day, completely agree with you. At this point, we're just talking heads like anybody else, just going off about it because it's just another representation of the organization
and of their poor track record of honoring a top 3 player of their history, which is a very long
everything's on
historic.
brand with the team and the name and everything else comes with it. I get it. Let's go.
Another disgrace?
Which one?
Deshaun Watson.
Yes, let's go to Deshaun Watson playing Sunday. I don't know the team give tickets to these women. I saw something that 10 or 12, half of the women that are accusing Deshaun Watson that dropped the lawsuit, they're now attending the game Sunday. Are they going on their own will?
Yeah, I didn't read that article, but I just read the headline. I don't know. Honestly, because of that and the Browns like being okay with 11-game suspension, they probably bought their own. Honestly, the Browns probably.
Did the Texans provide or the Browns?
That's what I'm asking. The Texans and the Browns, the girls do it on their own.
That's a good
Who-
question.
How are they
That's a
getting
good
to the
question.
game? Why are they going to the game?
Well, I think that's just like taking a stand, like, hey, like we're still here, like this still happened. As much as we just want to play it off, like, hey, 11-game suspension, it's all right. I mean, they're still trying to show like
one
this.
box. Like,
This is
I
an
picture
issue.
them all
Probably.
sweet, like
Probably, yeah.
protesting the game.
Yeah.
Behind glass?
But yeah, Deshaun Watson's back. Before I go into my upset pick involving that game, which you can all see where I'm going with that. But before that, this isn't a coincidence. Someone looked at a schedule and said, Deshaun Watson plays at Houston. He can't miss that game. Let's go. His suspension ends the game before. But that's just there's irony. It's just that was forced.
It was 11
11
games too.
game suspension.
This is
That's such
this
an
is
odd
as scripted
number.
as it gets. 11's a weird number
Yeah.
for every suspension they've
Makes
ever
no
done.
sense.
Calvin Ridley bets on his own team. Full season.
Full year.
They tend to mess it up all the time
Yeah.
with whether it's illegal substances or domestic violence, and now this. I get it.
Deflated
Deflated footballs.
All
Every
that.
situation is so different. But this was at first you think, an element of randomness to it. 11 games, and then you see the schedule, and this is gonna be probably the most watched game of the week, and it involves the 1-9-1 Houston Texans.
Yeah, it's a nasty game.
So Deshaun Watson's back. I'm gonna go segue that into my upset pick. Texans are gonna win that game.
Yeah, Davis Mills gets the job.
It's not Davis Mills. It is Kyle Allen.
So
Kyle Allen.
Davis Mills was benched
Kyle
a week or
Allen,
two
the
ago.
Yeah, he was.
TikTok.
Kyle Allen,
it's a
former
mess.
Washington, like
Red
2-week starter.
Yeah.
He
The
will
TikTok
start.
quarterback evaluator with Jordan Palmer.
He will start and take us to victory. And I say us as if
So I actually think so just to go with your
Yeah.
what you think. I actually think that game could be closer than you think because I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to be like the guy like he was in Houston. Obviously, because when he was there, he was in my mind a top 5 quarterback. Like he was ridiculous, but he hasn't played in basically 2 years now. So yes, you can practice, but it's never the actual game. It's completely different. Preseason he played like 2 drives, it looked terrible.
He's nowhere near up to speed.
So I actually think that game's going to be just a lot of rushing because you have Nick Chubb on one side, you have Damian Pierce on the other side. I think it's going to be like 200 yards each. Like they're both going to eat because both teams aren't very good against the run. So I think there's a chance on that one. I actually don't think
Houston
it's great.
also coming off a bye.
Yeah.
And Cleveland as a team, I'm all about the buy low, sell high concept. They're coming off a win against Tom Brady and the Bucks in overtime. So they're riding high.
think they
Texans
play
have nothing
down.
to play for. They're probably tanking for number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
But
I can see it.
big upset. Do you have an upset for this week?
You got yours coming.
tomorrow night. I'm
Keep it
riding.
running.
I'm riding with the Pats. I'm taking it from that. I'm sure you can find another upset, but
That's what he's doing right now.
just going to go with the cliche that Belichick's finally going to find a way after the 30-point loss in the playoffs to beat Josh Allen. And the Bills don't look great. They looked all right on Thanksgiving. They didn't look completely put together. They were playing against a really on fire, feisty Lions team. I like that word for that. Like, I think we're going to see a very close game. I think high scoring in the sense of like over 60 points between the two teams. Like, Josh Allen's going to score points. I think the Patriots are going to find ways to score.
Mac Jones actually had a great game. last week,
Especially
I was gonna say a
now,
repeat of Thursday night.
Von Mil-
33-27.
Von Miller's not playing. So
That's pretty big.
That opens a big door. Let the Patriots rush. Opens up the passing game.
I think that team is, I don't want to say broken, but Von Miller goes down. Josh Allen's elbow's broken.
Secondary's a mess.
Secondary's a mess, and Stephon Diggs is yelling at the sideline. Was it like the defender or coach or something
Yeah,
got in someone's face. Like there are problems in Buffalo,
Kinda.
and I wish Mike Giordano was here to give his 2 cents, but
I'll put a number on it too. 34-31 Pats.
out of your mind.
Ah.
They're scoring 65
Now I'm a
points.
Patriots fan, and I think that game. I don't think it's gonna be that high scoring because that'd be wild. But I do think the way the Patriots win is if they get pressure on Josh Allen.
Which their D line has been really
Their
good.
defense has been
Judon
amazing
has been
this year.
crazy.
Leading
So
league in sacks, right?
yeah. So I think if they get pressure, they limit the amount of time he's on the field. Their run game's good enough. Ramondra's a beast. I think they can keep it close. I think it'll be a lower scoring. I think it'll be in the 20s, but I do think they have a chance.
I think so.
I don't think they win a shootout against Buffalo. They win.
No, so that's
it's
the
a
thing, yeah.
2017. It's more like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
stop the offense
The
rather than
defense.
keep up with the offense.
No, I
think
think
I
I think it's keep up, and it's a field goal that wins it.
Well, so Mac Jones actually, I think his confidence is pretty high because last week he played well.
Yeah.
Like he had 340 yards in the air, something crazy. Like I never expected him to throw for that much. So
Yeah.
I think you have a chance.
Do you have an upset?
So I have my upset.
Now, so this week, actually, this is probably one of the better week of games. Like, there's some good Dolphins-Niners was a great game.
Commanders Giants.
I think I was thinking, like,
That's a playoff.
I don't even think that's really an upset. They have the same.
Pretty sure they're favored.
They're similar, yeah.
Yeah.
So I probably would go. I think I'm gonna go the Saints over the Bucks on Monday night.
Wow.
And now this isn't really like a crazy upset in my mind because the Saints have Tom Brady's number. Every year they seem to win one of the two at least. Sometimes they even sweep them for the year series. So I think that they'll be good enough to beat them. I think that their defense is getting healthy now, and I think the Saints defense is solid. Like they're usually a
They
solid
only
team.
gave up 13 points versus that 49ers.
Yes, they're just getting healthy. It's finally getting healthy. So,
They scored 0.
I know they scored 0, but that
Oh.
just goes to his upset point.
but I also think the Niners defense is top 3 in the
Yeah,
league.
yeah,
Where the
uh-huh.
Bucks have a lot of injuries. I don't think they're the same team that they were
Well, they're
last
also
year.
coming off an overtime game, so they're even more
Oh,
dragging.
they're a
down.
mess. So I think that they will. I think it's going to be another nasty game. It's going to be like 16-13.
I was gonna say this
I
might
can
be
see-
the lowest scoring game. I'm gonna go
I-
like 10-7.
I can see that
It's
game
gonna be
being
low.
very low scoring.
It's going to be low.
I get what you guys are saying about Patriots Bills tomorrow night, but I can see that.
I think
being-
it'll be similar for how the Patriots have a chance of beating the Bills. It's going to be a defensive thing. They got to slow down Tom Brady, get pressure on him. It's a big thing for them,
Yeah.
and then get Kamara going. If you get Kamara going, that team is completely different. So I think that's mine. I got Saints.
Those are the games where you think they're gonna be 10-7, and they end up being a score like you
Oh,
said
yeah.
Thursday, which is gonna be
That's how it goes.
31.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I look forward to tomorrow night getting text from both of you when the game ends.
Well, I'm a Patriots fan, so I'm with you.
I know
not,
you're
I'd
with me
love
on the
that.
win.
I would love that.
Last thing that we should have talked about with Anthony and the Giants is just on that New York theme of the Jets, Zach Wilson, that whole thing happened.
Mm.
The New York Jets have, again, I'm a biased Commanders fan, they have their own version of Taylor Heineke. Like, I don't know exactly Mike White's background. I think he was a little bit better than Taylor Heineke's undrafted from Old Dominion and was sleeping on his sister's couch a year ago or 2 years ago.
I don't think it's too far off either.
But he wasn't a top pick. He wasn't a name. He came out of nowhere, I feel like, and he just took over the team for like 2 games last year,
Yeah.
and then he kind of crashed down to earth. But
Yeah.
now, last week, I think he finished like along the realm of 5 incompletions, like 21 of 26,
Yeah.
300 plus, in the rain, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and beat a Bears team without Justin Fields. That defense is still
solid.
fine. Yeah,
Eh.
it's not
So
the
they
They
worst.
traded away some pieces, but they're solid.
So that's where I was going to go with that is they traded Roquan Smith. He's one of the top 5 probably middle linebackers in the league. They lost him. Secondary is not good. They had a big injury in that game too. I think their safety got hurt or something. So yes, Mike White had a crazy game, and I think he's better than Zach Wilson, which isn't hard to do. But I think again, now I think who they play this week.
At Minnesota.
I think this is it. This is where you say, hey, oh, I remember that Mike White after those 2 crazy games last year.
It's like Linsanity, but for Michael White. Like he gets those 2 games, he'll get like a really good matchup, and then he'll look crazy good, and then
I feel like no one's going to give him the credit until he's in the playoffs. Because like next week he wins Sunday, and it's like, oh, the Vikings are
Or-
frauds, and then it's whoever they play.
Yeah, they'll,
well, no. So I think
I
if he
agree with that.
Then
beats
they're
the
at the Bills
Vikings,
the week after.
if he beat
at the Bills.
see now we're talking.
Wow.
But I think if he beats the Vikings or at least keeps that game close, like if he looks like he doesn't look like he's like taking the pressure in a bad way, like he's nervous about everything. If he looks like he's like confident and he actually, even if they lose and it's a close game, he plays pretty well. I think that's pretty big because that would prove something to me at least. Like you have like a top 3 team arguably right now, and you play well, like that's pretty big for a young guy like
I
that.
feel like the concept what the Jets are doing, I always mess up the coach's name, Robert
Saleh.
Saleh. I always
Yeah.
say Salah or something like Saleh.
Yeah.
solid.
I feel like what he feels is what Ron Rivera feels in Washington. The numbers don't have to be pretty. This team, their teams just play
Find a way to win.
better, or they get more. I don't know what it is, but they just play better and they find a way to win.
It's the Brett Favre Jets all over again. Just find ways to win.
Yeah.
Like Heineke's numbers last couple weeks aren't pretty. He's not doing,
But he's doing what he has to do.
but they're winning games. Like, how do you argue with?
They're similar.
6
I think they're
and 1 in the
very
last 7.
similar
I'm
teams.
a piggyback off what you just brought up with New York. Out of New York, how many, not including the Bills, because they aren't
The only New York team.
Yeah. How many New York teams out of New Jersey make the playoffs? 0, 1, or 2.
How many Jets make the playoffs?
The Giants find
I think the AFC is far more competitive than the NFC. So right now the NFC is shaping up where the Giants, Commanders, and Seahawks, 2 of them are 3 of them are fighting for 2 spots.
Yep.
So one's going to be on the outside looking in. I hope, again, biased Commanders fan, that it's the Seahawks that are kind of falling back down to earth.
And all 4 NFC
Now
teams.
all 4 NFC teams making the AFC. I'd have to look at what that looks
The
like.
hunt is a lot
They're
closer.
in a spot right
They're
now.
right now. They're the 7th spot.
And they have New England and the Chargers breathing down the neck. And I like to think Justin Herbert and the Chargers get back into the. I think the Chargers leapfrog. They're a game behind the Jets. I think the Chargers will get that last spot over the Jets.
Herbert's my QB, and I'm not even sure that I can say
so
that confidently.
Chargers, again, this happens every year. I feel like they just need a whole new training staff.
Yeah.
They have so many injuries.
Every single year, whether it's preseason, guys tearing their ACL left and right like it's normal. It's like happens every year. Then Herbert gets that rib injury. He has nobody to throw to. His best wide receiver is Josh Palmer, who, by the way, is actually pretty good now.
Yeah.
But probably one of the best duos in the league was out for like majority of the year.
Yeah.
And they're still finding a way to win some games to where if they
They're-
can get
they're
healthy,
in the
Keenan looks like
conversation.
he's getting there now. So I definitely think they can pull something out for sure. I'd say.
I'm putting a fat goose egg
Every time I look at you, I bounce back this way.
on New York teams.
Think so?
I think as much
Come
as I'd
back
like
down,
to
like-
see both AFC East divisions and NFC East division teams be the 3 wildcard teams, just for complete interest of what that does to the sports dynamic of it.
Yep.
I don't see either of them holding out. I see the Giants completely falling off starting this week, take a bad loss to the Washington Commanders, and just spiral down
Their divisional
because
games.
there's no passing game, and you can't rely on Barkley that much to like hold that up. And then for the Jets, like you just said, Minnesota, Bills, if they lose 2 straight, they're now 7-6, squarely looking up at the Patriots and the Chargers being healthy and being active teams that are competing.
Yeah, I think, because I know the Commanders' schedule so well, they have Giants, a bye, and then Giants again. In my head, they have to go 2-0 because after that, it's San Fran, Cleveland with Deshaun Watson, and the Cowboys.
That's tough.
Yeah.
So even a
That
split,
division's
you're really relying on Giants or Seahawks' real
And
progression.
the Commanders need to go 3-2 in all those games. They need to find ways to win.
Yeah.
Hopefully with a 2-0 sweep versus the Giants, but
Right, I'm hoping the 2-0 sweep means, hey, you got to win one of your next
Yeah.
3 and you're in.
It's crazy because I think this year, more so than usual, like you were seeing the league was going a different direction where it was just like a lot of passing. And now it's so many teams that have a really good defense and just run the ball. It's the Jets, the Giants, the Commanders are the same way. Now Brian Robinson's healthy, he looks like a beast. And then
the
they have
stats are
Gibson.
showing that.
So it's
Running is up,
it's
passing is
insane
down.
how it just flopped. It was just literally that quick. So I don't know.
More
It's
and more of
interesting.
that Alex Smith game manager who's
Yeah,
so well in
Garoppolo.
San Fran. Where it's like Garoppolo, same thing. Like, don't turn the ball over, don't give the other team a short field, control the game, have a good run game, and you're done.
Make the right plays. And you're good.
Yes.
Don't leave the Alex Smith part out. Sorry. But you
No, I just wanted to
Big
build
Alex
on
Smith.
that.
My next thought,
If you
big,
bring-
Big Alex
you
Smith.
5 times now.
If you bring Alex Smith in, we gotta at least appreciate the years he had in Kansas City on top of that.
Oh no, yeah.
All across the board.
I'm a big Andy Reid guy
Because
too.
Kansas City, talking about playoffs, they have the longest active streak. They're on 7 years right now.
It's gonna be hard for them to lose that now too.
Yeah, no. 9-2 right now going into this weekend?
Highly doubt they're gonna lose that for some years.
All right, now what you
I'm
got?
going to point instead of time. You're probably going to say something.
Hey,
I overheard you guys talking before about Jets, about White and him coming in and the job he did, and something that you actually just mentioned, Matt, about how he'll come in, he'll play well for 2 games, and then kind of fizzle out. And a lot of that you said about like people don't know, right? Now all of a sudden he does something, now it's recognized, now all of a sudden you're able to game plan again.
Game film
right?
and whatnot,
That's,
yeah.
that's part of it there. But I only saw the headlines, so I don't know the details, so you guys fill me in. But besides terrible play, okay, why was White in the game? Wasn't there something in the locker room thing?
Zach
Yes.
Wilson got
No, you wanna go?
post-game after a loss where Zach Wilson had 9 completions and the team had 10 punts, and the game was 3-3, and they lost on a last-second punt return touchdown to the Patriots. They asked him, plain and simple, hey, do you feel like you let your team, your defense down? Real quick, nope. And just like, next question.
Yeah, so I mean, again, he's somewhat young. We kind of chalked it up to an emotional answer or whatever it is, but bad play on the field and then that showing right there, that showing of emotion, uncontrollable. It goes back to what you were saying about numbers aren't great, but they found a way to win to rise above. We talk about that all the time when we're talking about kids and teams and coaching. Like, there's the X's and O's, there's the physical, but when you have that mindset, when you're taking accountability and actually, which is so few and far between, I feel like these days, it kind of creates a different aura for everyone else. So I don't know.
I will say that's what Saleh and Dable both brought to those New York teams.
And
I do like both of
You
them.
want to play for your leader, and that goes quarterback, that goes coach. Imagine that's your quarterback. Meanwhile, you have Josh Allen in the playoff game last year against Kansas City that was back and forth. It was like 42-35 or whatever.
Craziest
Josh
game
Allen
we've seen.
physically did not get the ball in overtime. And after the game, his press conference was like, hey, like I didn't do enough. Like, I didn't make enough plays. I have to be better. Like, that's just quarterback leader 101 of do more. So you want an emotional response, take too much.
Yeah.
And let someone come back to you and say, hey, listen, like, not all on you. Receivers drop passes, running backs a couple fumbles, whatever it is. Don't just as if it was like entitled.
And that's on camera. If he's doing that on camera, imagine the vibes, the interactions he's having on the field, on practice, in the locker room. That you can't lead like that. So I don't know. I think the Jets could surprise some people, and I'd like to see them take down the Bills. To be honest, I'd like.
I love upsets, so I'd be all for that.
Yeah.
Because I do like the Jets team. I think them losing Breece Hall early is tough for them. Because I don't think they have that guy now who is that good of an athlete to where, like, Michael Carter's okay, but he got injured. James Robinson was a healthy scratch this week. Yeah. He found that out.
Yep. Big old goose egg. I lost by 2 points. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Welcome to his season. But yeah, so I think that's a big thing for them because they're like that run team. Their defense is crazy. I think they have one of the best in the league, honestly.
But again, if they get down, it's like, can you trust? Now it's not Zach Wilson, it's Mike White, but can you trust him to just lead a drive where it's 2 runs, 8 passes?
Yeah.
2 runs, 10 passes. Where it's the same thing with the Giants. Like in that game you were talking about, they're down 2 scores, and then Dabble's sitting there like, I don't really know if I trust Daniel Jones this much, so I'm going to keep running.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not used to seeing that from him because he's a really good coach. He really understands the game now.
Yeah.
So him just running the ball, it's like, bro, you have no time, and you're not even going to score at this rate. Like you're not getting big gains on 1st and 2nd, 3rd and long.
This was the
Now
first
you
time
gotta
he
trust
didn't
him
look
again.
like a wizard.
Yeah, I don't know, it's odd, but if you got to be able to trust your quarterback, and I think goes into the.
I think this next slew of game managers we're talking about, they're not built to come from behind. And that's where they're going to get into trouble, regular season or playoffs. The Jets aren't going to come back from 2 touchdowns. The Commanders, the Giants, there's probably a couple more I'm forgetting. But they're like Alex Smith can come from behind when he plays.
So
Different kind of game manager.
I think it's the same thing. Like the Niners feel that too. Like Shanahan's one of the best coaches in the league, in my opinion. So I think he realized, like, hey, we know what Garoppolo has, even though he's actually looked pretty good this year. I think he's actually proven somehow after being the backup to Trey Lance. But he looks even better, and they're just like, yeah, we'll just keep adding people. Let's get CMC. Let's just like trade them a little something and get like the best.
Elijah Mitchell comes back healthy.
Both ways. Yeah, and then he's out now, but unfortunately,
He's out again?
yeah, 6 to 8 weeks.
I did not get that update from my
Knee
fantasy
injury.
team.
Which is unfortunate. He's always hurt, but he's good. But yeah, they just keep adding more and more pieces. That offense is crazy. Like, I mean, I'm throwing on a drive. I'm going 3 for 6 and 50 yards. I'm pretty sure. Just have to dump
We're
it
not
off.
talking about birthday parties here.
Oh, yeah. I get ahead of myself sometimes.
I'm
yeah,
stats
so-
stuff and he gets the wins.
Well, speaking of birthday parties, unfortunately, we got to switch gears here. BVSA, we all wear multiple hats, and the noise you're hearing in the background is the kids coming in to work out with Matt right now. But I just wanted to say that I think this is one of our longest episodes so far of this new segment that's coming out, the BVSA Sports Show. And if you're still here, thank you. Appreciate you spending the 15, 20, whatever the time frame's going to be, you guys being here. And we look forward to continuing doing this more, continue building it out, bring out some new guests. If you guys have any ideas you want us to talk about, comment down below. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. You know that. Share with whoever. I think saving videos on certain platforms help the algorithm. So get that out there. And again, just thank you for being here and thank you for all you do. And hopefully we can keep entertaining you and we'll see who ends up being right next week.
You have a sponsor you want to drop now too? You have something else you want to drop?
There's no sponsor yet, but if anybody's interested in sponsoring the show, we're taking it. Right now we've got the BVSA logos. We do have First County Bank. You see the First County Bank
FCB
banner in the
field.
background. We are on the First County Bank indoor field at Valentine Sports Academy. We should probably do that at the beginning of the video going forward. Thank you, Bert. Appreciate the reminder. But yeah, again, just thank you for being here. And guys, any last minute thoughts? We're good to go.
I think we're good.
Cats Nation.
That's it.